How's everybody doing today? Man, we have a lot of stuff to cover here. I got a lot of things to go over. We're going to get into AMC here right off the bat. I know a lot of people are down on AMC, but I want to show you guys some things with just some quick numbers here we haven't gone over yet. So when we go over that, I think people will be able to go, okay, there's a ton of, we have another weapon that's coming up here. I can't say that because, I got children now who sit here and record every word I say to try and say I'm giving out financial advice. So I'm just going to reword things differently. So now we're going to say this could happen and this could happen. If retail does this, potentially retail could do this so these guys can stop crying. But we have a lot to go over here with AMC. I'm going to go over Aron and AMC's tweet. I know a lot of people are getting super crabby about that, getting real cranky about it. But I'm just going to go over some things with AMC. For them to keep driving the price down, one of the things they're kind of fucking themselves over. We're going to get into that in a second. So, I mean, the display is definitely not over here. So, one of the things, first thing I wanted to talk about before we get into AMC is if you guys remember, last video I went over this guy and he was caught, trying to bribe a person not to run, trying to get him out of politics, trying to get them to drop races out of the race. He was talking about how he knew, high people, very powerful people, kind of threatened her, tried to bribe her. Well, the next day, it turns out the guy, of course, right after I streamed, the guy actually resigned. And this is what's ridiculous, is these guys just sit there and they resign. They don't even get punished. And it's like, if this guy was trying to bribe people like this and then threaten people and was recorded, there should be criminal charges. There should be more than this guy just resigning and walking away. But as you guys could hear in the video, it obviously wasn't the guy's first time. I mean, he knew exactly what to say. Like, he did this for the first time. But like I said, the corruption in politics is unbelievable. But I'm trying to wait for more people to get in because I want to wait for more people to get in for AMC, so I was kind of hoping a lot of people would have jumped in right away. But here, let's get into this anyways. So right now at the box office, we're at 480 million domestic. I think we're going to end up, we should break 500 million just barely in January here. And this is the thing. I told everybody right away that Q1 wasn't going to be very strong because just the movies weren't there. And one of the things I always talked about was the strike. And a lot of people wanted to pretend it didn't matter. And a lot of people wanted to sit there and go, who cares? These movies were getting pushed back. And you would have had a better lineup. You would have had more content. Again, Dune 2 would have been out, which we're going to get into in a second. But it would have been out in Q4. And you would have had a profitable quarter once again. So that strike did hurt us. So people want to sit there and pretend every single thing doesn't affect us. There are things out there that will actually affect the stock price. Well, Q1 here, if you guys look at the video or the movies coming out right away in February, and this is one of my concerns, and this is what I was talking to everybody about right away. February, I just don't see, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you guys in my chat can point something out to me that movie should kill it. I just don't see February to be this massive month. And as you guys can see right now, we're already we're going to break 500 million. Well, that's less than we did last year at this point. Well, like I said, February doesn't look like it's the strongest to me. So one of our goals we should be doing, this is supposed to, everybody's talking about this in Madame Web. We'll see what that does. But one of the things the movement right now can do is February is looking like it's going to be a downer type month. We should go out and everybody try to, like I said, we're going to get into this play a lot. I want people to see, I'm going to show you guys, we have options right now that should fuck them up according to everything else. So right now, I know I say this a lot, but this month in February is the most vital month, you guys, to try and make it over 500 million. We need to try and beat January. Now, March gets better. March is going to be the thing that's going to end up saving this quarter. Now it's going to get us up to the 1.9, maybe 2 billion mark. hopefully if everything goes right. But the thing is with March is you got Dune 2. Now, like I said, Dune 2 was supposed to be the biggest movie of the year last year. Dune 2 should easily do 500 million, if not more. They projected it to be $1 billion movie. If you look over here, Dune 2 demand actually crashed AMC's website. You can check out this article here, talked about the website, their app, and said that AMC was getting the most demand. And it was happening to other theaters, but not at quite this level. So this is what we like to see. Like I said, this is going to be a massive, 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 massive movie. I want to see it. A lot of people I know want to see it. You're also going to get more and more of this. Jordan Peele, he actually is the producer on this Monkey Man movie, and it was going to be set just to streaming, but they actually now are releasing it in movie theaters. Expect more and more of this throughout the year, and we haven't had any distribution deals yet that he's announced, so hopefully we have some of those soon. But back to AMC currently. Like I said, back here, so Kung Fu Panda should do 150 million domestically. This, if not more, this is, like I said, this is a huge movie for these kids. A Quiet Place. I like these Quiet Place movies. I think this Quiet Place movie is a very good movie. So as you can see, you have it. Sorry about that. You have a great March. So if we, and then you have Ghostbusters. Sorry, that was the other thing I wanted to show you guys. You also have Ghostbusters and Godzilla. You get it on like the last weekend there. So Godzilla vs. Kong. So you have a very strong ending to your March. So you could have a very, very strong ending to the end of this quarter. But like I said, to get profitable, we need it back to the 2.2, 2.3, billion quarters. Now, Adam Aron, people are going to go nuts. Oh, you're defending Adam Aron. Oh, this is the thing. I fucking hate when the guy tweets because it's just like, okay, it's like I told him. Dude, it's like, dude, if you're not going to announce the alcohol deal, the distribution deal, we don't need tweets to know the price is fucked, because we all know the price is fucked. We need you. We're going to get into a lot of shit right now into this video. But one of the things he talks about, everybody's going nuts and saying this shit, and it's like one of the things that Adam Aron does try to do is be transparent with you guys. He does it with new ideas, with revenue streams. He does it with the situation in AMC. He told you guys back in the day, we need this for split because of bankruptcy and all of this, and nobody wanted to acknowledge the balance sheet, blah, blah, blah. Again, do I think this helps? No. But I feel like in his eyes, like I said, I'm not standing up for the guy in any way, shape, or form. This is stupid. But I think in his eyes, he's trying to be transparent with us. Because, like he's talking about, like I just showed you, February is going to be a slow month. Q1, when he talks about this revenue here, he just talks about the strike's going to take it away because of early box office just in Q1. Now, I think in Q2, Q3, Q4, AMC will be profitable. That's where we need to start getting in 2025. The box office is way better. There's no reason that we should not be way profitable in 2025. Hopefully the distribution deal takes off. And hopefully start signing movies. Hopefully we evolve it into this year, into next, and in 2025, it's huge. We obviously saw also they're getting out a Roblox movie that we did production on. So hopefully AMC develops that production by 2025 as well, when we'll see what other revenue streams he gets. But a lot of people went crazy about this tweet here. And I mean, like I said, I just feel like it's him trying to be transparent with everybody. But like I said, dumb thing, dumb time, dumb place. I'm not sticking up for the tweet. I just feel like a lot of people are just overblowing it. They wanted the price today to plummet, but of course it didn't. Whatever. I'm not going to get into that right now because that doesn't really matter. I'm just going to keep going. But here's the thing with AMC here. So like I said, for all of us right now, we have some advantages coming our way because one of the things that they're doing is they're dropping the price. They're dropping it very, very cheap to where a lot of retail can afford it. Now, after the reverse split, the float's like, I can't remember, it's like 197 million, but obviously I don't know if that's currently updated with the last, so it's around 197 million. Well, even at 197 million, I mean, if you have 1 million people still in the play, that's 197 shares a person. Times 427, that's only $841. Well, one of the things that these guys, aren't remembering, what's coming up, everybody? Taxes. A lot of people are going to do what they've done the last couple of years. They're going to get taxes and they're going to put it in the market. Well, one of the problems these guys got going on is if you guys keep this price this low, and like I said, even if 1 million people decide, hey, I'm going to just average down because my average might be high. I mean, like I said, this is all hypothetical. I'm not encouraging anything for all the crybabies out there. But let's just say 1 million people are like, hey, I'm going to average down, and they did 200 shares. Well, guess what? $841 for retail at this price is pretty affordable. I'm just saying. Now, think about this at this point. After the reverse split, 1 million people need, like I said, there's no way in fuck retail doesn't own the float. So many times over, it's ridiculous. But at this point, according to these guys, if supply and demand and all this stuff happens, well, come tax time, if retail decides to go ahead and pop it back in, we'll be able to see if we truly have buying power, if anything. Because I know a lot of people that are talking about doing that, because at this price, like I said, it's $841, and according to you, we bought the entire float over again. If 1 million people did it, well, according to you guys, there was over 2 million people, last I heard. So 400, a little over $400. Like I said, that's one of the problems that they're going to get, because if they sit there and have this price low as fuck, how are you going to explain to people over and over that can buy the entire float for that little amount? So what I was saying, I was looking at a lot of my old videos, and one of the things I was watching, I said right away when I was just thinking about it logically, they're going to try and drive AMC's price down right now as low as they possibly can before they can, if they do lose control, which it's like, if you watch all this back end stuff, it looks like they're losing control. They have a lot of things that are collapsing that they can't help. There are so many people and so many hundreds of billions in areas that are defaulting left and right. Not even getting into Evergrande. We'll get into all that in a minute here. But one of the things I was saying is they know Q1 right now for AMC. It's not looking like a strong quarter. This is why Aron said this to people. He didn't say it to try and fuck the share price. He was trying to say, everybody, the box office is starting off slow. I feel like what he's trying to honestly do is say, hey, the box office is slow. I told you guys right away, there will be one more capital raise. And I think he's trying to get people to accept that, hey, if you look at it, the box office is slow. We're going to lose money this first quarter unless something happens, which could be retail suddenly making February a lot better than is expected it to be. Because like I said, March is a very solid month. March could be huge. But this February, man, like I said, I've been saying it for a while. This is going to be the part, like, I don't know. Maybe you guys want to show me a couple of movies that I'm not paying attention to. Again, like I said right here. But right now, what they're going to do is they're going to pin AMC. They're going to pin it down to about 420. This is 420 to 465 for a little bit here until AMC can get some positive news. They're going to try to do this because they're going to say AMC is going to maybe try and raise capital, like I told you guys. And I believe that is why he said this tweet, to try and show everybody, hey, we're going to burn some money this quarter. Don't go fucking crazy if we do a capital raise of $50 million. Again, even if we raise the float, I can show you guys, even if we raise the float to where he needs to sell it enough to $50 million. Here's the thing. Everybody's sitting there going crazy. Oh, we're going to have a reverse split again down the road. We're going to go bankrupt. We're going to do this and that. And it's like, no. Like I said, I don't see these continuous needs of capital. It's been since the beginning of time. You guys, we invested in a movie theater company that was burning cash. The box office wasn't returning. It wasn't returning at a level. They learned their lesson. With the way I looked at it is they looked over at GameStop, they learned their lesson. They pounded it down on AMC. Any chance AMC was just about to be able to do a capital raise, they smashed it. We weren't able to do it at the levels we wanted to, because they could not afford another GameStop situation where you have all these shorts in GameStop, you have all these shorts in AMC. Neither one of them have debt now. They're completely fucked. AMC's now to the point where it's profitable. The box office is back. The movies are returning. On top of that, AMC's number one problem. Obviously, it's debt. Their number two problem. They're just too big. Like, they're so excited about how many theaters they have. And it's like, that just means you have to have more making money than are losing money. So that means you have a lot of theaters that are burning cash. So one of the things I'm hoping Aron does, seriously, one of the things I hope he does is if he does a capital raise, is he takes some of that money and gets out of as many of these leases that are burning cash as possible. If he's currently working on the balance sheet, and that's what he needs to do, and he needs to do it where he has around a billion cash on hand. But like I said, if retail comes and they keep holding it down at this level, and all of a sudden tax time comes, I'm just saying this because in past, again, I'm not encouraging it, but in the past couple of years, they're showing it. People have been spending their taxes where you think they're going. Last year, one of the things that I, kind of found interesting was AMC was the number. They made more money lending AMC, of course, than any stock in the market. Well, if that's the case, what's that tell you? There's demand. Nobody's going to grab all these shares to lend if there's not demand for those shares. The demand for AMC, I feel like, has always been there. You see it in OBV. You see it. They just do their criminality. And the problem is they spoof. They trade between each other back and forth. Drop it a penny, drop it a penny, drop it a penny, drop it a penny, drop it a penny. Oh, here's a ton of retail orders. Guess what we're going to do? Move them off exchange. Now we'll send 10% of that to the lit exchange, and then we're going to short. That's what algorithms do. That's exactly what they do. How can we control everything? Ken Griffin was talking about, we control the assets. Well, guess what? They talked about AMC going to 440 and 410. Guess where we're at? Right in the fucking middle. We're right where they put their price targets. But here's the thing. And here's what's funny. We're right where their price targets were right after he comes on in an interview and says, we determine where the prices go. Us and 8 fucking firms. It's like they're bragging and then they do it. But again, if AMC's movement, here's the thing. Nobody is all these people are caught. There's a lot of people are sitting there looking over going, okay, I have no choice but to try and average down. And if 2 million people did it at $450, again, that's your entire float. Completely bought over. It's not that much. So if you keep lowering it, it's just getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper for the movement to just smack it again. This is the thing they don't get. You have too many people invested in this. They're not just going to say, you know what, I'm going to let this go. There's people that have hundreds of thousands in this play. They're not just going to let it go and let it die, especially for people looking over and going, hey, if me and a whole bunch of people put down 400, like I said, I'm not saying anything. This is just reality. So for the clowns trying to spin it, this is just reality. There's a lot of investors that go, I'm going to be able to average down at the lowest the company's ever been. Completely drop my thing, because you're not going to have all these people. They're going to sit there and go, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to take a loss and I'm done. For these banks, for these people that are lending, for the people that are allowing this to go on, wait until I show you everything that's going on to them. There was one thing I told you guys to watch for, and you will know it's ending. I don't care what any person says. I don't care what any YouTuber says. I don't care what any financial advisor says. It's just human nature. It's common knowledge. The one thing you want to look at when they're losing grip, when they're losing control, is they're going to turn on them. And the one problem and the way that this is going to all come crashing down, the thing that happens in every empire. Before I get to that, the Roman Empire, what was one problem that they had? You ended up having too many people working in the administration and not enough people working jobs. You basically collapsed your country. You had not enough workers and too many people there to collect. That's where the United States is at now. they sit there and they lie about job numbers. Now, if you sit here and look over at, there was a report yesterday that came out with Fox. Fox overshot job fucking numbers by a ton. It was a huge number, of course, classic. They overshot it by a ton. Well, actually, they dropped by 700K from November to December. But the one thing that's happening is government jobs are going up, 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 up. Now, this is one thing I've told you guys forever. This is when your country will start to collapse. When you have everybody doing what? Working in government and working in healthcare. If you look right now, the number one job is government, or number one job right now is healthcare. Number two is government job growth. They're flying up the roof because you have nothing but poor people. And what happens to poor people? They get sick. When everybody's working for the government, they love it. They're in control. Well, like I said, you're getting to the point where everything crashes, and that's exactly where these guys are going. So what's your number one sign to look for? The powerful people sit there and go, I can get away with anything, and I'm in a pickle. I'm so powerful, I'm going to go after the hand that feeds me. And I'm going to put them in their place so they know you can't do anything, and we have more sway and more power than you, and you're going to do what we want. Like they do to us and everyone else and politicians and everything. JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Goldman Sachs are drafting a landmark lawsuit against the Federal Reserve. Now, I want you guys, the people that are sitting there going, well, this is crazy. I mean, they literally cite their source. They cite the guy working on the case, and they had an interview with him. So, these guys are trying to sue the feds. Now, I want you guys to think about this. They're already trying to sue the SEC. They're going after the people who set the laws. They're suing them for laws that they don't like. I want you to understand that. That would be like if all of us got together and said, you know what? We're going to sue the government because we don't agree with taxes. We just don't like them. We don't like that rule. We don't like that law. And we don't think it's fair. And what we're going to do is we're going to sue you, and you're going to knock it off, or we're just going to not give you any money. We're not going to donate. What would happen to us? Could you imagine that? So here, now I told people I'm going to start to put the links on the end of the thing in the description so you don't have to just come to my live. So everybody that's not in here, I'll put this at the bottom. But you can go ahead and read this. These guys are trying to sue them. Now, what are they trying to sue them over? The Endgame 3 regulations. Now, I've been talking about these for a while. Now, let me ask you a question for people that don't think this is a big deal. These exact banks protested. They protested. They literally called for a congressional hearing to protest. They're not like me and you guys. They don't just make picket signs, get together, and then protest in the streets. These guys are rich. These guys have power. These guys actually donated to Congress. So when they protest, it was even called a bank protest congressional hearing. They were protesting these rules, and they do it in a courtroom, unlike the streets like we do. So these guys orchestrated a protest, and they lost. And now they're trying to sue these people over something. Now, if this wasn't a big deal, would they protest and then try to sue these people? The same people that has helped them and fed them, and now you're seeing repercussions. What's going on with the feds? It looks like the feds are getting kind of pissed off if you look what's happening. Because not only are these guys trying to strong-arm them back, they're taking advantage of what the feds are giving them. If you guys look over here, the feds are now allowing the bank lending program to expire in March. They're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're going to cut you off. And a lot of people would sit there and say, who cares? Not a big deal. They're just going to make a new program. And normally I would agree with you. But that costs the government money and time to create.
and then they got to make new facilities, and they got to do all this shit. So they wouldn't do that. What they would do is they would just change the rules in the current system, and then they would extend it. Because it makes no sense for you to say, we're going to put this to this, because it's not, you guys, it's not like there's a limit on this program. It's not like they're like, all right, you hit 161 billion, we're cutting you off. There's no limit to it. So they could just re-extend it. So I don't believe they would, there's no sense for them to say, all right, fuck this, do this, come up with a whole new thing, a whole new system, a whole new program, put time, effort, and resources into that one. It's everything is cheaper, costs better, and everything common sense. Well, I guess the government doesn't like to run off common sense, so I guess. But most of the time you would just see them extend the program, and that's how they would continue to bail them out. Well, not only did, this is why it's interesting, because not only did they close it, if you look, they actually changed the rates and said, fuck you. In the current amount of time, because one of the things that the Federal Reserve, I think, is pissed off at them, because what they did is you have a bank lending program. They give you a bailout. They go, here's a bailout for you. And what do these guys do? They take advantage of it. They take that, they go ahead, they dip into there, they take advantage, they pop up into other things, because right now they're at 4.8. And then they go out and they get loans at 5.3, 5.5. So they're playing arbitrage plays on overnight index, whatever they needed to put it in. These guys are basically taking when they don't need it. This was made for this, and now you have guys basically scamming the system, and it's widely known. Banks are taking advantage of them. So now they're like, fuck you, we're no longer going to allow you to do that. Now, a lot of people would sit there and say, well, why is that a big deal? Because we've seen in the past when these guys don't care about something, look at the SEC. What do? We're going to take this. We're going to vote on it in 6 months. We're going to let it pass. We're not going to adapt it or implement it for another 6 months. Then 6 more months after that, the rule change will go. No, they just straight up said, fuck you. We're not only closing this the next second. Hey, we're going to actually change the rates on it too. So we're going to close your loophole. We're going to close the advantage you guys were taking. Because what we were supposed to do with this program, not only are you cheating and gaming us and making money off us, so you're pretty much doing what you're doing to the rest of them. You're using us as a extra in-source come, which at this point, now I don't think people understand this. Maybe the feds could allow this before, and they could kind of get away with this bullshit. But now you're operating at 140 billion fucking liability and loss. Well, you're on track to next week make that 150 billion. Now, people are sitting there going, well, what's wrong with that? I don't think you guys understand. The last time we ran at a negative was in 1915, and that was during World War I, the second year into it, after the war used up all of our money, all exhausted the country. That was the only other time you ever really ran, or that was the last time you ran a deficit. And it was nothing like this. And it wasn't still growing. And here's the problem. The economy's still getting worse. It's not getting better for the feds. Like I said, there's no way they're not gonna cut rates. They can't. The economy's getting shittier by the second. I already showed you the customer index fund. Prices are still going up. Inflation is on its way back up. Well, what are you going to do when prices are already higher and inflation's coming a little stronger? You can't go, well, now we're going to cut rates. You can't afford it. What you're going to hope happens is people are going to continue. This is how they're going to, the housing market's going to go. Because they're not going to be able, I already showed you, there's too many people under 5%. They're not going to refinance. They're not going to sell their homes. Other than that, you had institutions buying up the rest of the supply. I already showed you they own like 40% now of all single-family units are owned by a fucking institution. Well, they're not going to sell them. So what your inventory is going to be is nothing but the price is going to drop only because no one can afford it. It already dropped almost $80,000, which is insane, but from 2022. So a lot of people are sitting there going, well, it's still cheaper than having it at 2 to 3 to 4%. And I'm like, yeah, but back in 2022, when I told people, everyone wanted to cry about it. Oh, Bigums, don't tell people to wait. Yeah, well, of course you wait. At that point, fucking rates were at like 5.56%. They were high as shit, 7%. And the price was at an all-time high of 480,000. When the price drops and drops and drops and drops 80 grand, yeah, the rates haven't came down yet, but according to government, everything should be able to be handled, taken care of, and fixed. And in the past, the rates always came down, but you can't renegotiate that price, but you can refinance and lower your rates down the road. So yeah, it was a lot smarter. And again, it's still, they're not that much higher than they were in 2022, but at that moment, because I was talking deep 2022. So right now, the only way that that's going to happen is defaults. Well, right now, currently, everybody's current savings are back to an almost all-time low, again, for the average American. No one can afford shit. Healthcare right now jumped up to $36,000 a year. For some people, that's their yearly salary. Well, now their wives need to go work, and now their husbands need or stay home, and the husbands either do 2 jobs or get enough to support their entire family. Well, good luck with that. Like I said, it's getting worse and worse and worse. In a second here, we're going to get into a lot of numbers here that are going to smash these fucking banks. These banks are taking billions and billions and billions of losses here very soon. But the fact that the Feds made the higher rate so they couldn't take this advantage, so now all you're going to see is people who actually need to borrow from the program. That's the only people now that are going to actually borrow at the new rate that are in need of assistance. So that was the purpose of the thing. Like I said, I think the Feds are at this point where they're going, we're bailing you out, and we're just taking fucking massive losses. Again, it's supposed to be 150 billion by next week. That is nuts, dude. This is not sustainable. It's not. It's absolutely not. But the fact that these people are trying to sue the hand that feeds them, I can see the Feds, like, again, you have all these banks, they have 685 billion in unrealized losses. Well, the Feds can keep holding that pain. They can keep holding that pain. Yes, these guys can hold it out to maturity, still get some par value back. But at the same time, like I said, currently, how much collateral, how much they can't take out, how much this hurts them, this definitely affects them. And the Fed's not changing rates and having those losses keep going up and up and up. Well, again, that's that much less and less and less collateral that they can use to make more and more money. Now, this is where it gets really interesting for people in AMC and anybody who's short any kind of stock. One of the things that I've been trying to expose forever is these tech stocks. They're scams. They're Ponzi scheme. And here's where they're going to get fucked. Because one, not only are they biting the hand that feeds them, the Federal Trade Commission launches inquiry into AI deals made by tech giants. For like 6 months, I've been trying to show you guys all about NVIDIA and their corruption and all of these other AI-generated companies. Just like I tell you guys, they evolve at everything. They evolve at their short and distort campaigns. Instead of just taking the company over, owning the shares and being liable and being held responsible and being able to track everything you're doing, you now do this. So what these guys are doing is they're just doing investments into their companies. Instead of getting a whole bunch of shares, a whole bunch of stock, what they decided is more important is to inflate their own numbers, inflate their sales, and inflate the prices of their product. Inflate the valuations of the Mag 7. Now, what did we go over? All of these hedge funds are on the same 7 hill. We're going to get into that in a second. But they all jumped on the same hill. And now that fire is getting lit on the bottom of that hill. Everybody who is worried right now in AMC's play, everybody that has a shill that you've listened to, maybe got to you for a second, Since the beginning, I said before all this explodes, they will take AMC to an all-time low. I didn't care what the price was. You can go back and look at all of my old videos. That will be their last-ditch effort to mindfuck you. That will be their last-ditch effort for AMC to raise capital. Because this Ponzi scheme cannot operate. It's affecting too many levels of government, too many levels of this, and too many eyes are coming on this. Too many people like us have access to the internet. And people that tell people that to stop doing DD. Stop worrying about, why do you not talk about just AMC like we did for the first whatever of this video? Because the rest of this matters. Because the people that are shorting them are committing the crime. So when you see the crimes, you expose the crimes. When too many eyes get on those crimes, things need to be at least addressed, accounted for. Well, let's use NVIDIA for an example. Because it's happening with all of the Mag 7. The Mag 7 fire is getting lit at the bottom right now. These guys have been inflating their numbers forever. Now, instead of owning stock, they just invest into a company, but they do it with an agreement. It's almost like an ISDA agreement type thing. So they'll invest $500 million into their company. Let's say, okay, so let's read this before I just sit there and kind of tell you what they're doing. Where is it? Damn it. So they have So they're going to have 45 days now to provide all of this information to the FTC. So what these guys are doing, instead of shorting the story, instead of buying it and getting into it, they're doing these basically agreements with these guys. They invest $500 million for a number. It's obviously not always that, but whatever. So they'll invest $500 million into the firm. Now they'll be able to take that and buy all of these, in NVIDIA's case, all of their AI chips. So basically, NVIDIA is investing in itself. But now, according to NVIDIA's books, it's coming from another company, and they're able to blow it up, and they're able to create demand for their product. They're able to raise prices, keep them fucking skyrocketing high, and inflate numbers. It's that easy. It's literally that fucking easy. And the way that they're doing it, it's like an unmatched fingerprint. Like I said, instead they don't want shares. They don't want all this stuff. They just want agreements. They want this written this way, because what happens? Well, if suddenly somebody gets a massive investment, now imagine if you're an investor and somebody walks up to you and they go, hey, I just started this company. I'm just opening it up now, but we already have a $500 million worth of NVIDIA AI chips. So we're already that much farther ahead. Well, now they get all this more money and more money and more money and more money. And guess what? Their evaluations skyrocket. Now all their startup AIs are fucking skyrocketed. They're skyrocketed. So now these guys aren't worrying about these guys going out of business. And then they're able to go ahead and pay NVIDIA back. NVIDIA back how? From all these other fucking investors. And then they pay NVIDIA back after NVIDIA invested in itself. It is. It's what I used to tell you guys. You remember what I used to talk to you guys about Coca-Cola? It's called supply chain refinancing. It's the same thing. But instead of a bank doing it, hold on here. I went over supply chain refinancing forever. It's a fucking Ponzi scheme. You have a distributor and a company. And basically, you'll have a bank step in. Because let's say for Coke, let's use Coke as the example. Because Coke was the one who got caught. Coke was the one who got charged. And Coke did it for years to inflate their numbers. Just like this. Basically, Coca-Cola went to their distributor. And instead of having to pay their distributor, what? $1 billion, because we're going to use the real case numbers. Coca-Cola owed their distributor $1 billion in a year. Okay, that's fucking insane when you think about it. Instead of doing that, they had a bank come in. And when they went in between each contract renewal, the bank would give them money to the distributor, so they got their money, and for the distributor now, it counts as an income. It counts as, there you go, revenue comes income. There you go, they made it. And now for Coke, what Coke was able to do was say, hey, this is no longer a debt and a liability because the bank gave me that money back. Now this bank deal with the Coke and the bank was again done on a contract, so it wasn't tracked. And then what Coke would do is after the quarter would end, they would pay back the bank the $1 billion, and the next quarter the bank would do it again. So Coke was able to over and over each quarter, or over the course of the year, 250 million, 250 million, 250 million right off. And always, instead of claiming it as a liability, they claimed it as, hey, we still have it. It's still here. Cash on hand. We still have all this revenue. Like I said, it's just a joke. It's a complete scam. And this is the new shit that they're doing. OpenAI is a massive time bomb. Now, not only is it a massive time bomb, not only are these guys, they know what they're doing. It's the most obvious thing in the world. They have been called out for months. Me, myself, I've been pointing this out for months. This guy was talking about it as well. Dude, but here's the problem. Third party to the story. They're all getting looked at, but here's the problem. All these fucking guys looked into it. All these guys bought into it, made a shit ton of profit before they looked into it. So basically, insider information, we're going to blow these numbers up. Nancy Pelosi's like, fuck yeah, honey, go ahead and do the fucking trade. So it's going to start getting interesting, though, because like I said, too many eyes are on this. Too much information's coming out. They cannot sit there and hide it. And now all of a sudden you have no faith in any government regulation, because eventually that leads to nothing but chaos. But now you're going to have all these guys exposed for blowing up their numbers. When a story comes out here in the next 45 days, 45, 50 days, hey, guess what? These guys, all of their numbers were fucking they're all blown up. They're all blah, blah, blah. Well, March and May, we already went over a lot of things that are happening in March and May. So it's going to get very, 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 it's just getting more and more and more interesting by the month. Look at there's Stephen Hyde. But like I said, you guys, when this fire starts, look at this. I want you to understand the size of this fire. The Magnificent Seven market cap is higher than the combined market caps of the UK, Canada, and Japanese stock market combined. So when this fire that they all have ran on to use as collateral burns down, which it looks like it's here's very well could be the start of that. Buddy, please. Sorry. He's grabbing all my stuff. Murphy always he likes to make his puppy appearances. But when this hill gets lit up, these guys are gonna take massive, massive, massive hits. Now AMC's at a price where it's like, well, are they even going to be able to make that much more profit off shorting? I don't believe so. At these levels, it's already below, in my eyes, value. There's no way in fuck AMC, with what it's accomplished over the last couple of years, is the lowest value it's ever been. It makes 0 sense. It literally makes 0 sense. Once again, if 1 million people, starting tomorrow, if 1 million people walked up and bought 197 shares and spent $841, well, there's your whole float bought. Again, you're backing yourself into a corner, or you're giving out so many more synthetics. It's like the float over and over again. You cannot keep making it lower for retail. But you have no choice, because if they go ahead and let it go back to $5 to $6 to $7 to $8, AMC will be able to raise it again at a higher level. And that fucks them over and over and over. Now, I don't care what it says, it's Ortex. Ortex said there's 26 million shorts, 260 million pre-short. So there's still a ton of short interest in AMC. I mean, a lot of people, if you got the demand, as we've seen before,
According to them, retail on GameStop, it wasn't even the shorts covering. Well, here's my question: at what point did the shorts ever cover at any of this? So if the government said that it wasn't even shorts covering, when the fuck have these guys ever covered? And when they do, shouldn't these prices be insane? Well, like I said, guys, $841 for 1 million people to buy the float over. Good one. Good one. Makes sense. Now, the next thing I wanted to get into is, like I said, these things are getting harder and harder and harder for these guys. They have more and more pressure. Now, the thing about the endgame rule, the reason that they're trying to sue these guys, is the endgame rule could literally destroy banks. And a lot of people will go, no, it could literally destroy a ton of banks. And not only will it destroy a ton of banks, the big banks, it's like handcuffing them. It slaps them. The amount of money that it takes away from these guys on a yearly basis is massive. You're talking that right now, currently, the way that banks make money is off the reserves. They need your deposits. That's why I always tell you, they can't take their profits and go in and invest them in firms and other things like that. It's supposed to be illegal. Obviously, we know that they do, but they're supposed to not be able to do that. Well, one of the things right now is when COVID came is they took the restrictions away. So now, or the deposit requirements away, not the restrictions, the requirements away. So right now, these banks don't have to have anything deposited. They're just running Wild West. Everything that you guys deposit, they lend out every fucking penny of it. They don't care. They don't need to have their reserves. That I've never seen the exemption eliminated since. It's still going. As far as I'm aware. Well, what this is going to do is it makes it so the banks need to have, the bigger banks, up to 30% reserves at all times on hand. And it talks about that being towards the big banks. Well, the big banks, that means they're taking a shit ton of profits away from these guys. Well, what have I already showed you guys? These banks are not going to be able to keep up with money market funds. They're not going to be able to keep up with any of these other areas that you can go out and make more money in. There's way too many areas now where banks are obsolete. They're only around for you to pay enough to pay bills. Literally, you're making under 1% interest rate. They're literally paying you 0 point something. Nobody in the world, you lose money having it sit in a bank. Literally, not only do you lose it, you have some rich criminal basically use it as his own and do whatever he wants with it. There's no incentive. And now if these banks are losing, they're already losing. I've already showed you guys 1.3 trillion left the banking system last year. They project it to be 1.5 trillion this year. If 1.5 trillion more leave the banking system this year as they project, you're going to have a banking crisis. You're going to have so many of these smaller, medium banks go under. Well, the problem is all those guys are now going to have a ripple effect up on these higher banks that are helping all of these fucking hedge funds. The reason I hate JP Morgan is JP Morgan, again, backs the most hedge funds in the entire United States. They have more contracts. They do everything. They bail out more firms than any company in the United States. JP Morgan, if there was a boss, would be your fucking Bowser. He would be your Darth Vader. He is your fucking... JP Morgan is the biggest scum on earth. Now, the problem with these guys, again, is now you're going to have T+1 coming here in May, along with all those other things that we've went over. We'll get into a couple more things now in a minute here, but T+1, you're going to have quicker settlement time. You're going to have more you should definitely start having more FTDs when this goes into effect. This limits a lot of times that these guys should be able to do fuckery. Problem is, you're still not going to get rid of market maker exemptions. But one of the things that I'm looking at, it's like, I feel like the government, these guys have so much sway, so much power, all of these fucking banks, these criminals. But the thing is if the feds start turning on them also,
You start seeing more of these regulations come in. Well, that's going to be less that they control. Again, they can have on these politicians, and it just ends up doing a ripple effect down. What we need, God, I just wish these fucking regulators would just get their heads out of their asses. It's like, here's the thing that I hate about regulators. Man, we don't have enough money to get these guys or monitor what they're doing, but yet me and you and retailers can sit there and watch level 2 and all this stuff, and you can literally see it happening in front of your eyes. You see it happening in front of your face. You see the spoofing happening every day, and it's not like it's small orders. It's here's a 25,000 order, 5 cents under, and all of a sudden it plummets and it went away. Yeah, we know. It only happens 66 fucking times a day. Only on AMC. We know. These guys hit all their bullshit. And here's the thing. One of the things we tried to talk about a couple weeks ago, and I don't think it's still gotten enough highlights. Why is nobody talking about fucking this? This is a big deal. We're going to keep getting into China in a second. Fuck it, let's just go. T+1, like I said, it's going to make it a lot harder and harder. And as you guys are seeing, it's getting harder and harder and harder for them. But at the same time, the box office is, like I said, the next couple quarters is coming back and back and back. Hopefully Aron in the next couple weeks does a new revenue stream announcement. That's what I'm hoping. But let's get back into this. So most people, I don't know why this isn't getting enough coverage. Why are they trying to get this? All this shit is happening in China. Now, you guys remember a couple weeks, right before they banned short selling, they were talking about doing investigations. There was all this internal, all this other shit. I showed you guys that Citadel was able, about 8 months ago, they got sponsored by a Chinese firm, and they were able to trade and get into that market. It was a huge deal. 8 months down the road, all this shit's happening in China. Their market's going to hell. And obviously, there was a lot of other factors. I'm not saying it was just Citadel, but a lot of these things, when you look at what China's also going after, it's like, we already know. I've shown you guys that they can transfer risk to other countries. We've went over that. They transfer risk to other countries all the time because they can, and then they open shorts and do all these things because they can get away around other regulations, other rules. They don't have to report this. They can get away with all these things. Why the hell would anybody want the toxic dump in Credit Suisse China? And not just anybody, only Citadel. It's like Citadel made up calls, told everybody, don't worry about it. I'll take the burden, I'll take the hit, and we'll just take these bad fucking assets that are complete trash. Why? You gotta hide the books. Because you transferred all those shorts from the GameStop report over to fucking the UK. You transferred them out. The only logical thing is if they can't find them, they transferred the risk outside of it, outside of regulators. Easy. That's why when Credit Suisse went under, what did those fucking douchebags do? We're going to seal the files for like 50 years or whatever the hell it was. Remember, they're going to lock the files up. What's China going to do? China's not there trying to lock the files up. So if Citadel can go ahead and get it quick before China has access to it, they're not going to be able to fucking expose it and lock it and show people the vault. It's like that. It's obviously, like I said, when you look at what only makes sense logically, business wise, with these agreements, the only way that they could have gotten rid of these things without covering, because they admitted it themselves, they didn't cover. The only logical thing is, okay, well, you did what everyone else can does. You transferred risk. So again, Citadel being the only one, this is a big fucking deal. Evergrande has crashed. They're getting liquidated. It got approved. You have a ton of people thinking this could be the giant time bomb. You have a ton of people, like I've been saying forever, these last couple months, China is going to be a huge time bomb, and they're so fucked. Everybody that tries to talk shit about Phase 6, why didn't it work? Because China had a bigger time bomb that was going to go off than we do. Quicker. We were no longer a worry. The only thing China was concerned about is getting their fucking stock market and their economy back, and trying to get BRICS going, because their shit's so fucked. They need BRICS. They need it to go. This is just one. I want people to understand that there's other ones going on out there. You have fucking, what was it? Oh, we'll get all that in a second. Country Garden as well. Country Garden is defaulted on its last several payments, on its bonds payments. Well, that's also $200 billion. So right now, you have $500 billion in real estate that is collapsing over there. $500 billion worth that is defaulting. Currently, if you read here, so I want people to understand, when they see the $300 billion, most of that obviously is exposed in China. That doesn't mean that that's what's coming towards us. Now, if you actually read the article, it talks about 25 billion is actually going to hit around, other international investors. A lot of people, I haven't done. Now, here's the thing: Boss Blunts has been super about Evergrande. Everybody, for some reason, ties me and Boss Blunts together, even though me and him haven't done anything together in years. I haven't spoken to the man in years. And even when we did talk, he said Evergrande was going to be this massive thing. And I always said, I don't think it's going to be as big as a lot of people think. One of the main reasons why is they've had years now at this point. They knew the liabilities. They know the losses. They know the exposure. They've had so much time to transfer some risk, put some assets aside, cover that, know it's coming. Now, am I saying this isn't going to hurt anything? No, it's going to fuck them up. They're still taking billions and billions and billions in losses. One of the number one people in them and what was it, Sun Country or Country Garden? Country Garden is BlackRock. They're going to take double-digit billions in losses from this. And on top of that, you're going to have a whole bunch of smaller, banks, investment firms that are going to go under. Now, those contracts are now going to affect the banks. So, am I saying this isn't going to do anything? No. This and then the other amount crashing, $40 billion in exposure, yeah, that's going to put some people under. It's definitely going to put some people under. Is it going to be the thing that sets this playoff in my eyes? No. I don't think that. Unfortunately, this is the bomb, the one, the thing. Now, I already told you what I think. I mean, it's already collapsing on itself. They're biting. They're fighting each other. They're biting the hand that feeds them. That's what I needed to see. That's all. I need these guys to turn on each other, and that's exactly what they're doing. Since day one, I've told you guys to cut the head off the snake. As soon as you cut the head off the snake, the body withers. The body dies. Everybody focuses on the body, the tail. Oh, Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin's basically the tail. He's the one they want you to look at. The head of the snake, it's always been the feds. Because no matter what, the feds are always bailing out who? The banks. And then the banks are always bailing out the hedge funds. They're always bailing out who? The family offices. They're bailing out other banks. They're bailing out, banks bail out the criminals. So what you're basically hoping is these fucking criminals here die. Or get so fucked up that these guys can no longer lend to these guys. And they can no longer lend to these guys. And they can no longer lend to these guys because they're having problems themselves. I always said that since day one. Problem is, it's like, I don't know how we go after the feds. So I've always said the head of the snake is banks. Well, if that's the logic, if that's the way you look at it, is the head of the snake is banks. Which bank is the number one bank that is doing that? What is the number one bank that's lending to these guys? Because these guys are what? They're my opponent. They're my enemy. In war, what's a tactic? Get them behind back in the day, get them behind their castle, let them starve to death, and any wagon, anything that came by, you just shot them, killed them, hit them with arrows, took all their shit, and moved on. And you starved them to death. If you sit there And that's JP fucking Morgan. That's why I hate JP Morgan. That's why I tell everyone you know that's in a JP Morgan account, make sure they know that they're supporting child trafficking, raping, pedophile shit. Make sure they know they're supporting drug trafficking, cartels. Make sure that they know they're supporting money laundering. They also bank for Russian oligarchies. Make sure you know that they were JP Morgan's bank. Make sure that you say that if you look at the top 12 financial crimes in U.S. history, JP Morgan is involved in all 12. I'm not counting fucking FTX. But actually, they were involved in FTX, so never mind. But that's my point. Jamie Dimon. Start cutting the heads off the snake, and they will die. Them taking billions in losses is huge for us. Them having harder rules while they're taking billions, because here's the thing. When you're taking billions in losses, and all of a sudden you have to have 30% on hand, do you have it? I don't know. And on top of that, how much is that going to limit how much you're able to lend out? Now, China is getting fucking, like I said, just dismantled over there. Their stock market is getting dismantled. So not only is a ton of the, are they getting hit on that? These banks are getting hit on that end. They're getting hit on all their Chinese asset markets or market assets. They're getting hit on them all. If you look over here, Bank of America has cut its Hong Kong investment banking team. This is their fucking index. One of their index exploded. Their market's fucked. They're looking over at injecting $267 billion from foreign aid into their own stock market. They're basically the government saying we need a loan. I'm going to use a credit card. I'm going to use a loan from these other countries to put into my own stock market to inflate the prices. And that's what's funny. Is if you look, an article came out yesterday that a whole bunch of hedge funds now are buying up Chinese assets, pennies on the dollar. Well, yeah, because they're looking over, and I'm not giving financial advice. Do not do this. This is very risky. Don't do it. But what they are doing is they're buying it up because they know that big liquidity injection's coming. And they're going, well, we buy them on pennies on the dollar, and then the liquidity injection comes. We can do a quick arbitrage play. Again, don't fucking buy anything. I'm not giving out anything. It's a risk to do anything. But I'm informing you on what they're doing. That is it for all the little crybabies that want to try and spin this as financial advice. No. But if you look over at China, one of the reasons why I brought up Citadel is they're already talking about shorting, getting rid of that. Boom, done. Now what they're doing is they're restricting share lending. Well, who always is involved in share lending and all this shit? It's the same fucking trash banks that we just went over last time. It's always the same ones. And why? Because they're in charge of the biggest stock lending program fucking platform in the world. They know they need to get these pieces of trash out. They're trying to weed out all of this garbage, and then they're trying to borrow from all of their other friends to put back into their country. Like I said, China is in a very bad place, and their real estate, it's just starting. Another 200 billion, like I said, is coming within the next couple. This one's done. This is already 200 billion. It's already missed its last 7 payments. It's going to be another Evergrande situation. They're going to go, we're going to drag this out because we can't afford Evergrande and this to hit and have $500 billion hit us in a brief matter of seconds. But this is a preview for the United States, because what did I show you? 1.5 trillion is doing fucking real estate. This in the next, by 2025, by mid 2025, what are they going to do? What are they going to start to do when suddenly they're all taking 50-60% hits? Because a lot of people sit there and think, oh, it's 2008. They compare it to 2008 when they talk about, hey, they were giving out loans to all these people. You had people that couldn't afford it. They didn't care. The mortgage-backed security, the tranches, put them all together, and then the defaults, blah, blah, blah. Well, now the 2024-2025 crash is going to happen massively in commercial real estate. and it's going to have a huge impact going forward. You're already seeing, it talks about how they've defaulted. They're already talking to their bondholders. They're delinquent. They can go ahead and give them a default. I mean, they're fucked. PNC Bank shutters 40 more banks. JP Morgan, this is what we like to see. People like this. This is why I'm talking about commercial real estate, because you look over here with JP Morgan. JP Morgan, they actually defaulted on their mortgage-backed security. They defaulted on their loan, and guess who gave them their loan? JP Morgan Chase. So JP Morgan will take that $38 million hit on that loan, and you're going to keep seeing that over and over and over again, because the commercial real estate, oh my God, the turmoil is just insane what's coming down for that, dude. It is ridiculous. And on top of that, at the same time, you're not going to have anybody buying any of these offices. As we went over, you have more corporations going down than are coming out. You have more and more corporations going towards what's called remote access from home. They're looking over saying, I'm never going to pay that expense again of renting out an office. That's basically another employee's salary plus. So U.S. office vacancy hit a new all-time high record, and this is going to be where your crash is going to start. On top of that, if you look down, this is just Philadelphia, but I just wanted to look at you nationwide. As we showed you guys, nationwide last quarter, it hit 19.6% vacancy. That's pretty fucking nuts, dude. Now, one of the things that I was telling you, they're going to end up trying, and now one of the things that they're going to do to try and ease in also with the housing market, to try to bring the housing market prices down, because the only thing that they can hope right now is the prices go down, because rates are going to be unable to. What they're going to do is start doing office. As you guys see here, there's a record number of office planned, turning them into apartment complexes, turning them into apartment conversions. They're going to the only people that are going to be buying these guys, or these from these banks, are people that are going to look over and say, hey, I can turn this in and make this a low rent income house. So they're not going to pay these banks a lot of money. They're going to pay them pennies on the dollar. Now, if you have 1.5 trillion renewing, and they're going to pay you 30-40% of the value, this is what I'm talking about. You have a Hong Kong, you have China on your hands, but you have China on your hands now, where it's, instead of it being just 25 billion exposure to us, we're the hundreds of billions in exposure. And then what do they do? And this is what I mean. See, a lot of people, I used to think it'd start in the bonds, and then they started giving them all the bullshit. They did the rules, the exemptions, just hold them out and we'll give the par value. Or if you hold them out, we can give you 100% in some certain cases. Yeah, we know. Anything you can do to save the fucking criminals that are, once again, over leveraged. It's just ridiculous, dude. Whoever gave me that super chat, if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate it. Now, this, like I said, this is going to be their only other chance. So these guys, like I said, they're going to take huge hits here. The Evergrande stuff, this is just the start of it. They're going to take so much bigger hits in Evergrande here in the United States. So that's what I'm more looking towards than Evergrande. I know a lot of people are going to make, tons of videos on it. It's the big deal. It's the bomb. BlackRock's fucked, blah, blah, blah. But we have to see the ripple of that 24 billion. Because again, that 24 billion is towards them. How much more is going to go towards the banks that were supporting those firms and companies that were invested in them? So it's going to be more than that. Just, we'll see how much it is. Like I said, but I feel like the commercial real estate is going to be hundreds of billions compared to the 30-40 billion ripple effect of Evergrande. Now, I just skipped something. No, we're just talking about China for a minute. T+1 settlement, like I said, and then them all run into the same hill. And now you found out that hill's corrupt, and now that hill is being looked at, and the regulators are finally starting, like I said, starting to fire under that. Now, if you missed this in the beginning, well, I'll do a little recap at the end here. But let's go into the next thing. So the national debt, like I was telling you guys last week, we can't stop spending. We're spending worse and worse and worse and worse. We just borrowed $100 billion in the last week. We added $100 billion to it in a week. So they have no plans of slowing down. It's going to get worse, and because this number is going to grow, this is why I told you guys the Treasury cannot. They're going to keep going higher and higher rates. When you have the 8.2 trillion due, set to renew by the start of 2025, you're pretty much fucked. You're going to be going over 2 trillion in interest, and because of that, you're going to have to again pay higher rates. You're going to see 6.5%, 7% next year into this year. And at that rate, again, who's going to want to go into a bank? Nobody. Why would I go into a bank when I can make 7% over here? I can make 7% here, or I can make 0.02% here. One, I can keep up with inflation. The other, I lose a ton of fucking money. So banks are having a lot of more problems, and I feel like the government's trying to slowly wean us out of them, or at least a little of their control. And the feds themselves, if they're trying to go after the feds, they're trying to sue the feds, this is going to get super fucking interesting. This is when it's going to start getting super interesting, and you're not going to do that unless your back's against the wall. So I'm going to read that post. It's actually, the numbers are incorrect. Wanted to also show you the government, because like we said, they can't stop spending $100 billion. I saw this is pretty interesting. In the most recent audit, the Pentagon was able to count for just half of its 3.8 trillion in assets. 1.9 trillion from the Pentagon was unaccounted for, which is more than the entire budget Congress agreed to for the current fiscal year. That's nuts, dude. 1.9 trillion is missing. What? We have a government that is spent and missing 1.9 trillion in assets. That is fucking insane. All right. We went over that. And oh yeah, the last time they did it was 1915. So I mean, I went on for like 2 hours. I'm actually all done. Does anybody have any kind of questions about anything? I'm just going to stare at the chat now. Anybody have any questions at all? No? No? Get pretty quiet in there. Alrighty, well, it doesn't look like there's any questions at all, so I guess I'm going to get going here, guys. Thank you for listening. I was looking, oh yeah, and then a little thing so I was looking into, I was talking to a couple other people about the lawsuit and if that's the best route for us, and I mean, I'm going to go into it in the next video, but I'm not sure if that's, God, it just sucks because it's just stupid. I don't know if it is a way to go, but it's just going to be so much fucking hurdles. And then in the end of the day, yes, the only people that are really going to win is these idiots. And it's like, here's a problem. I need to make sure that not only do they pay us in a lawsuit, but let's say they do these synthetic shares. We need those shares to be covered. We need them to be canceled. We need to be taken care of. Like, that all needs to be taken care of. Not just a lawsuit and it's gone, because then who cares? They can keep doing it, and then what, you just do another class action lawsuit where only lawyers are winning? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, fucking hate these guys. Our best weapon is, like I said, if we can make February, I know it's not the best month for movies looking like. And like I said, unless I'm missing something, I don't see it. I mean, maybe this looks good. I mean, who is that? Can't see who that. Oh, I mean, that's Russell Crowe. Yeah, that's Russell Crowe. Or we'll see. We'll see. I mean, hopefully I'm just wrong. Hopefully I'm just wrong. But February to me is just it's like a scary month. So once again, we'll do a quick recap before I go. Then we talked about AMC. Well, first we talked about this guy, this fucking criminal, and how we showed you how he tried to bribe people that were running for Congress. He tried to threaten them, and then after his video was released, he quickly fucking resigned. If you go ahead, we're going to go into Q1 box office right now. We're going to end this month probably at about 500 million. I'm hoping February is still a good month where you still get about 500, 400 million. We can get to $1 billion there with how good March is. March lineup, once again, is pretty amazing. You have A Quiet Place Day 1. You have a Ghostbuster movie. You have Godzilla vs. Kong. You have Kung Fu Panda 4. And you have the most anticipated movie in a long time, Dune Part 2, which, as we went over, actually crashed AMC's website, and it was down for a good hour. So AMC had a ton of demand for Dune 2, which, once again, you have more movies coming out that were going to go straight to streaming. These people are going, what are we doing? These movies deserve to be on the big screen. And on top of that, we're going to make more money. It's just so stupid that these guys do any of these movies just to streaming when you can make so much more money just releasing it to theaters. We talked about Adam Aron's tweet. Yes, I wish he would stop tweeting, but Adam Aron, one of the things that him as a CEO that I realized is he's very transparent and he's trying to tell you guys what he thinks. Again, he's trying to put in your mind that, again, like I just showed you, it might not be that strong of a month in February. This first quarter might not be that powerful. We might burn some cash, so it's frustrating. The price of AMC shares is frustrating. We all know that. But I think he's trying to get you to say, hey, we might have to dilute again in Q1 because we are going to have a burn, unfortunately, unless we can go ahead. And that's what I'm saying. If you guys don't want any dilution, you gotta be profitable. You gotta be profitable enough to pay down debt. That's the only way to do it. You gotta pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, you have to borrow to pay those bills. So on top of that, with AMC, we talked about, I'll show you the little calculator just to make it easy for everybody. The float currently is at 197 million. The price is at $4.27. If 1 million people bought 197 shares, that would be your float, and that would only cost people $841.19 a share. Now, we talked about taxes for a lot of us are coming right around the corner, and if retail, the float currently for AMC, because they've shorted it so low, for retail to be able to buy the float again, is when tax time especially comes, is very, very, very easily doable, manageable, and according to them, that's what made the price run in January, right? Because remember, no shorts covered, so if we all bought the float over again, I'm not saying we're gonna, but I'm just saying, I mean, like I said, that'd be a third of the movement getting their taxes and doing exactly what they did the last 2 years. Let me throw $1,000 in, and then you have how many people that are gonna, like I said, look at it and go, all-time lows, I'm stuck here, I can at least average down. They have cornered themselves and lowering the price down. Like I said, they're between a rock and a hard place. Either you let the price run up, AMC can raise capital, you do one big capital raise again, AMC's feeling great. Or you leave it down here, and AMC needs 1 million people to pay $841 to own their fucking float again. So, like I said, this movement, I just don't see them winning. There's just no fucking way. I see too many people, and not only that, I see so many people going on and buying like 10, 15 bags of these candies at a time. At a time, you guys. They're buying boxes of these fucking sweets, these candies. If you go online, they're sold out of popcorn. It's expanding. It's expanding. For them to say AMC's price is worth this is fucking laughable. It's laughable. Like I said, 2025, the 2025 lineup is the best lineup I feel like since the pandemic, and it's like not even close how fucking good it is compared to these ones. Always the darkest before the dawn. Again, what $841. Here's the thing. How many of you people, I have more than fucking 197 shares. I got quite a few more. How many people do you know have more than 200 shares? Because after the reverse split. Because after the reverse split, that's all we fucking need. Everyone needs 200 fucking, a million people need 200 shares. So logically, we already know. You're basically saying everyone in retail sold, just everyone took fucking 90% losses and was like, fuck it. No, it didn't happen. There's no fucking way. So, other thing we went over, the banks are now suing the Federal Reserve for the N3 rules because the banks have to have 30% of their reserves. They can't go ahead and wager that, which is tons, and that's billions and billions lost. Billions lost in revenue. They're closing down the lending program. They also raised the rate currently for anybody that wants to take out a loan. They raised it up to the exact level. It's like 5.5 now, so it's actually, here, come borrow this only if you need this. So if anybody now is loaning from the federal lending program, it's because they absolutely have to. So it's going to be interesting to watch those numbers now actually going forward, because this is no longer a money-making scheme. The Fed are at 140 billion loss, and at the pace that they're going to be at 151 billion loss. They haven't been at a loss since 1915, and that was the second year after World War I, when again we exhausted all of our assets in the first year. All of them have ran to the same hill, the Mag 7 we call them. Now the Mag 7 has a fire getting lit under it. They found out that it's been a Ponzi scheme, and I told you guys for months now, they have been doing shell companies to boost their numbers. They're caught red-handed, and this could be a huge thing because this could open up the downfall to the 7 that they're all in, which means collateral would plummet for these guys. Now, the scale of that collateral that would plummet is bigger than the Japan, Canada, and UK's entire stock market combined. So for anybody to tell you that that collateral is not a big deal, that's a pretty fucking massive deal. T+1 settlement is coming in May. It starts effective May 28th. This gives them less time to do fuckery with the stock, and it makes the FTD should rise, and it makes them have to get it quicker, which should lead to better price action. Citadel Securities is the only one that bought Credit Suisse in China because they know all of the fucking shorts, all their crimes, a ton of their assets were transferred, and a ton of the risk was transferred here. And they want to buy it before their government sees it, and they go ahead and have to lock it up. Because unlike the UK did when they locked it up, China's not. They're not going to lock it up. They're not going to hide it from us. They're going to tell us. They're going to tell us the secrets, and Citadel cannot afford for China to tell those secrets, because guess what? China hates fucking Citadel. So if they can screw them over, China's going to screw them over. Evergrande fell. 25 billion exposure to the United States and other areas outside of China. So, like I said, there will be a little ripple effect, but I don't believe it'll be as big as the ripple effect that the commercial real estate in the United States will have. Bank of America cuts another unit, so that's more problems for Bank of America. Every time that we come on, Bank of America is having more and more problems, downsizing and restructuring. Be wary of Bank of America. Country Garden also defaulted, $200 billion. So it's not as big as Evergrande, but it's basically right there. PNB shutters 40 banks. JP Morgan is starting to take commercial real estate hits. They just took a $40 million one. Office vacancies are now over 20%, the highest ever recorded. Developers are now the only people that are buying this are developers for pennies on the dollar, which means these banks are now going to take 50-60% hits on all this commercial real estate. This is the way that the housing market will drop, and this is because there'll now be supply, and this is also going to help with rent control. This was their big idea, so we'll see if that actually does anything. National debt is growing by the day. It grew $100 billion in a week. Pentagon actually has lost $1.9 trillion in their most recent audit. Labor market has actually gone down. They lied to you in exaggerated numbers. And at the same time, while the market's going down, more and more people are working for government. This was the fall of the Roman Empire because you had too many people working for the tax man and not enough companies and people being taxed because they're all working for the tax man. The United States' trajectory is not sustainable, and they cannot keep going at this pace. And that was your recap, everyone. Alrighty, let me see if let me read the chat here. I actually got some people talking. Matt Kors is a clown. Yeah, Matt Kors and me, Kevin are fucking clowns, dude. They're just sitting there just hand gibbering. Fucking hate those two. Please don't forget my question, Mr. Pickums. If you don't, be Rizzy, re-ask your question. I did not see it. Where is it? Hold on, I'm looking up. I got a question. Hold on, I found it. No, B Rizzy, I do not think that the Evergrande crash will cause the squeeze. I never did. I think it'll hurt BlackRock. It'll hurt a couple people. It will hurt some smaller banks, some firms that were invested. They'll hurt the bigger banks that were lending them, but it's not going to be a massive ripple effect to where it's going to crash anything. I never thought that it was going to. If there is going to be a commercial real estate type squeeze type crash thing, it's going to be here in the United States and not over in China. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Trying to get the house ready for the new baby. I'm super excited here. Trying to find more time to get on and do more videos. I feel like I don't have enough time to get on and do videos. I mean, look how much stuff we went over today. I've been live from, I feel like, no, it's been an hour and a half. Almost 2 hours. 2 hours is a long time. I don't think I've stopped talking. When will the monetary system collapse? I mean, that's the thing. They got to have something that they can replace it with completely. And that's why I think that they're trying to move more towards tokenization. I don't think that they're going to allow the monetary system to collapse until they at least have more of that involved. Another, digital type dollar, something that they can back it with at this point. A lot of these states are going towards gold-backed coins. So that'll get interesting to see what happens there with that. But at the rate they're going, who knows, man? I mean, when some of these bubbles go off, which how big these bubbles are, I just don't know how they could contain all these things. There's no way. Even if one goes off, I mean, they're so embedded in each other. If one bubble pops, I feel like so many other are going to with it. Did you see that Robinhood was selling order flow to FTX? Doesn't surprise me. But no, I haven't seen that. I'll have to look into that. If they're selling it to FTX, I mean, that'd be a little more interesting to look into those tokens. I mean, I looked into those tokens. I just didn't give it a lot of weight because a lot of those things were just, a lot of people don't want to hear it, but a lot of them were just scam tokens. And then when they look at like, hey, you can make trillions, but it's like you can set the max, the cap number on the coin, the max number of coins to be whatever number you want. Doesn't mean that's in circulation. You got to look at the circulation number. So a lot of people would, and a lot of these people were just like, hey, let me ride this wave, ride this on the scam coin. I mean, that happens all the time where people ride a fad. But I mean, logically, everybody I've talked to that knows crypto works in this, I mean, I just don't see them being able to use them fully as a locate. And for them to, here's the thing with people that think about the tokenization. If you're going to talk about it as being a locate, I think you're going to be incorrect. The way you want to phrase it is it's more of like a transfer of risk, if that makes sense. Because I've shown you before, they're able to transfer risk. You could do it by hedging. You're able to do it different ways. So I could see them transferring risk onto a token in some way. But if they do it as a share locate, I don't think that they would be able to do that. I don't think that the SEC would allow that to get away. I feel like they would be able to check that pretty easy. Do I expect rate hikes this year? No, I think they're going to try and maybe get a cut or two in, a small one, but I think that the rates are going to be pretty much where they're at for a while. I don't really see how they can lower them. They can't give out more money at this point, and you can't raise them because you can't keep crushing credit. Nobody can already survive, and if you keep taking credit away by raising them, then no one's going to be able to make it, dude. You're going to kill your entire country off. So eventually you're just going to have a revolt. So they can't really raise them, but they can't really lower them because, like I said, now you have inflation coming back up. The price indexes went up higher, so it still costs even more and more and more. For independent news, man, I thought about doing like a daily thing, but then everybody would call me a grifter and crybaby, so I was just like, I mean, that's the thing. One of the things everybody's been getting super mad at me about because I apparently don't talk about AMC enough. But it's like I talk about AMC at least once a week and I go over it for 40 minutes a day. Like, it's not like we don't need to talk about AMC in the play every single day. I've told you since day one, stop watching AMC's stock price. Unless you're going to sell, it doesn't matter. Unless AMC at that current moment in the squeeze play, you're waiting for it to fucking squeeze. It doesn't need to be $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, $12 for it to squeeze. It could squeeze at $4. It's all about what? Them being margin called. The people that are going to margin call them are going to be the banks. So you need to put stress on the banks. Now the banks are stressed out. They need to go get collateral. So they go to the people that owe them money, which is the firms. And now they go ahead and say, I'm going to margin call you because I got to pay this or I need this money. And that is how you get it done. You put stress on the banks. You let all this shit in the back end collapse. You let all their greed do what it does best. And you just chill. And you support the living fuck out of AMC. You make sure fundamentally it's as successful as it can possibly be. And if you don't want them to be able to dilute anymore, make sure you get to an AMC. Support the shit out of it as much as you possibly can. If you can't, buy popcorn, buy their sweets, do anything you can do. Buy tickets, give them away. It doesn't matter. It's going towards your company. But like I said, look at the number here, guys. After the reverse split, if 1 million people own 200 shares, we own the float. And nobody seems to talk about that. If 1,000 people, after they get their taxes, spend $841 on shares at this current price, that's the entire float bot, and right, just like that. So again, they're putting themselves in between a rock and hard place. Unless the movement dies off and everybody quits and nobody wants to average down and everybody that's just not happening. Is transparency coming in a way, but not enough. Not enough to what we want. Not enough to what we need. But we don't need transparency to come as much as you guys think. We just need the system to keep doing what it's doing and it to collapse on itself, which it's currently doing. Yeah, I feel like we'll get the transparency we want and need once more of this exposure goes down and once they can't control the bubble and once you see a MOAS. Because one of the things people aren't talking about is eventually when these guys get pushed into a corner, unless you give a stimulus to the country, you're going to run, your middle class is gone, your companies are gone, and you lose everything. So eventually a MOAS is beneficial to them as well. Because now your middle class is revived. They're going to go spend money on on all your stuff at all your companies, and it's just going to flow right back to you anyways. Hold on 1 second. Keep looking up, keep looking up. Why do you think the Fed Bank just make the... All right, okay, Victoria's here. Sorry. Also, I got a lot of questions here. Let's see. You're not wanting to look. Besides, hold on. Big ones. Besides not wanting to look wrong, why do you think the Fed banks just make the agent come to the table to at least do? Well, I mean, that's the thing. If they're willing to burn it all to the ground and let everything go, but the problem is even if they wanted to let, this is for Victoria there, even if they wanted to like just let it all go and try to, there's so many things that they can't control, like the real estate market, like us, like people leaving the banking system. That's the thing that the banks don't. The way that they're set up is they need you. You're their lifeline. You're their blood. They need you in their body. And the more people and the more blood they lose, the weaker and weaker and weaker they become. Well, now that they're so indebted in all these other people that are so over leveraged, they have all this exposure by the billions and billions in commercial real estate and ISDA contracts and trillions in the derivatives market. Eventually that's going to catch up to you and there's nothing you can do. And then you're going to have it where they're physical assets like houses, commercial real estate. You can't hide that. So now that you're going to have to show the world, hey, we're taking 50% loss on this building, on this building, on this building, on this building. And eventually people are going to see the numbers and they're going to be able to add them up and there's nothing you can say about it. You can't lie about it and there's nothing you can do because they're physically in front of you. That is why these commercial real estate bombs are so big because they're not just here's a little small hit. It's here's $50 million hits in the matter of a second. These guys defaulted, it's over, boom, here's $50 million. Here's $100 million. Here's $1 billion. If they have 1.5 trillion set to renew, you could take hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And that's something they can't just say. You can't just blink it off. You can't hide it because the physical building's there and then they're eventually going to have to try and resell it to somebody. So these guys can't just let it blow it off forever and just not worry about this and that. And I don't think even a war, maybe a war will be something that they can try to distract you from it. But the fact of the matter is the physical building will still have to be sold. We'll still know the number. It's public knowledge. It's public information. You'll see the number. They can't fake it. They can't lie about it. You see the physical number, the hit they take. So that is why I feel the commercial real estate bubble and all these other assets they have that they can't hide will be enough on their own to cause a bubble. Or to cause the squeeze, to cause pop it all. I mean, like I said, there's so much hidden under the rug. There's no way you can tell me there's not dirt under it. It's 12 feet high. Anything tokenized is a bad thing, even Bitcoin. If they do tokenization on Bitcoin assets and all this shit, it'll be the ETF all fucking over again. It's all a scam. This is to more exposure. No, it's just so you guys can manipulate prices. It's just a fucking joke. Why do people think that Evergrande will cause a squeeze? Because they said it a long time ago. They don't want to look wrong. They don't understand the magnitude, and they saw, hey, 200 billion in exposure, and they didn't realize that only 24 billion in exposures towards outside of China. Well, now that doesn't mean all 24 billion in exposures towards the United States. But what they were hoping for is this massive ripple, this massive thing hitting BlackRock. BlackRock already taken that big loss they took the year before. I don't know. Like I said, since day one, I've never have agreed that Evergrande was going to be that big of a deal. I really still just don't. I mean, if Evergrande, and again, if they didn't have 2 years to know that this loss was coming, I think it'd be a lot bigger of a deal. Like when people first started talking about Evergrande being a big deal, yes, I believe maybe it would have been, because they wouldn't have been prepared to take that hit right away. But the fact that they dragged it on for years and fucking years, these guys knew it. It's like all of a sudden you knew an expense was coming, but you had 3 years to plan on it. So you just kind of put money to the side, put money to the side, put money to the side to be like, well, at least if I take the hit, it's not as big, or maybe you even cover the entire hit that you were going to take. So they weren't maybe as wrong when they said it at the time, because again, nobody knew they were going to get 2.5 fucking years, 3 years to prepare for it. But a lot of people are just trying to make videos and make stories, because like I said, there's not. So I try and talk about the economy and shit. Like there's not. Everything doesn't, like, everybody wants every single thing in the world to be the thing to set off the MOAS. But all that does is make you guys get jacked up for a year. Make you guys get jacked up, to be let down, And that's why I've been saying this forever. Like, I don't try and tell you. The only thing I've ever made a big deal about what I truly thought was Phase 6. It was the only thing that logically made sense. Because when you're talking about trillions of dollars, and I can show you the trillions of dollars. I can physically show you the proof that there's trillions in fucking value and trillions in assets and all this shit that they claim that they're throwing around illegally and using it for locates, using it for anything they fucking want. It's a scam. It's a complete fucking joke. But it was my own stupidity, because at the time I wasn't as educated on China's market, on the other countries' markets that were even worse than fucking us. So when you're shitting in if I'm broke and somebody's broker than me, or if I'm broke, how am I going to tell somebody who's not as broke as me how to manage their money and what to do with their finances? They're not going to listen to me. They're going to say, you had to borrow money from me. Why do I care what you think? That's exactly what Phase 6 ended up doing. Not only that, I didn't realize how much power the United States had inside the fucking World Bank. I didn't realize we basically control the World Bank. So the people that were going to regulate us for Phase 6, the third-party people that were supposed to watch the trade and the collateral be deposited, it's the same fucking people. It's the same fucking people. So they gave the illusion a third party was going to be watching from the fucking World Bank, but they own the World Bank. Little did I know, and that's my fault. But we all learn, we all grow, and every day we get smarter. But Evergrande right now is, to me, still just a giant nothing burger, man. It really, really, really is. But I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would fucking love it if I was wrong. How long do you think it'll take for the housing market to drop? Now, when you say to drop, what do you mean? Do you mean the house prices, or do you mean rates, or both? Because if you're talking prices, I think you're going to still see a pretty steady decline. You've already seen it drop almost $82,000 since 2022. I think it's going to bottom out or flatten out around the average median home will average out about 100 or 396. It's down to, I think, 412 is what we said last time. But I think it'll flatten out at about 196, and then you're going to see rates kind of lower a little bit. But
when you're talking price right now, it's been rapidly averaging, actually lowering drastically, and supply actually went up. It was over like 4% last time I checked. So supply is going up. People are defaulting. So prices are dropping. But it's just about those rates right now. The rates with it is just too much. But prices are going to continue they'll lower and lower throughout the year. Do you think BBBY will blow the basket? I don't know. I honestly know nothing about BBBY, man. I didn't do anything with that. I just aren't they. I have no idea what's going on with BBBY, to be honest with you. I thought they were in bankruptcy. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Of course, they hype and do all that, man. They got to get you to come on their channel. They got to get their revenue streams, and it is what it is. I mean, everyone's got their job. It's just you. It's your job also, to find out who's just trying to blow shit up. I mean, listen to their facts, but if their facts don't make sense, I mean, we're grown ups. We know what doesn't sound right to us. After this many years, we all want to be right on the DD, but a lot of us are emotionally attached, so we want things to be way bigger than they are in a lot of senses. But it's like, if you don't keep up with your opponent and what they're doing, you're putting yourself behind anyway. So I mean, DD is valuable. Otherwise, you'll fucking go nuts. All these people that hate all these people on YouTube and do all this stuff. Well, how much would you like it if you went and did you invested all your money? No one was around. It was just kind of every once in a while you'd say something on Twitter. Is everyone doing okay? You had no information. None of these guys. So I mean, yeah, they're grifters, but you can't hate everybody. There are people out there that are just trying to inform people. Because people, yeah, I am 1,000% associated with AMC, and great. I still believe AMC is the play, and I will never stop, and AMC will never come out of my name. You have all these people. When is Bigum's going to take AMC out of his name? AMC Bigum's Twitter account, YouTube account, every single account I have, that is AMC. Bigum's will never change. That will never change. The only thing that might change is Inspector or whatever I put at the time. But AMC Bigum's, I even after the squeeze, even if it's 10 years from now and there is no squeeze at that point somehow, my name will never change. I'm going down with the ship with AMC. But I also don't sit there and tell everybody every day with AMC, like, oh, you're an AMC pumper. How am I a pumper? Because I talk about AMC's fundamentals, its finance, its future, what I think will happen with the stock price. I don't sit there and every single day say, hey, it's going to be the fucking MOAS. Hey, next month, this is the MOAS. Nope, I inform you what's going on with your opponents, and when they get to this point, then this should happen. And that's what you want to look for. More people like that. Exactly. Save Billy, man. To save Billy, to save little Billy, it costs, remember, it costs 2 million people, or it costs 1 million people to save little Bill. $4. I'm sorry, hold on. Sorry, but there was $814. $814 to save little Billy. That's it. Hi, buddy. Sorry, Murphy's the trainer. He stuck his head through the thing. He looked like he got stuck. It was funny. Hi. $841.19. So if 1 million people spend $841.19 at the current stock price, the entire float will be bought in again. Dude, I'll never lose conviction. I don't give a fuck. I know what's right and I know what's wrong. And when I'm on the side of right, I ain't gonna go anywhere. Like, fuck you. I'm right. You're wrong. Fuck off. And I don't care how long it takes you to admit it. One day you'll fucking have to admit it. Baby names, yeah, we got a couple baby names. But we change them so much. It's pretty funny. But for a girl, I'm thinking Violet. But we'll see. We've changed it so many times. But she's, 10 weeks now? So 10 weeks prego. We're feeling good. I'm pretty excited. We should be able to hear the heartbeat here. I think it's 12 weeks. And then 20 weeks, I think it's fine to figure out if it's a boy or girl. I'm super excited, though. And that's the thing that's the problem with these hedge funds. That's where they ran themselves into. You have so many people that have conviction that aren't going to go anywhere. Then you have people that are trapped that aren't going to go anywhere. And now you made the price to where a million people need to spend $841 in the float spot. Good luck. Retail spends this in a day. And last we checked, there was 3 million of us. So if there's still 1/3 of us around, that means 1/3 of the entire movement that we know of needs to spend $841. Well, if there's still 2 million of us around, that means 2 million of us need to spend $400 on stock after the reverse split to own the fucking float. Well, I can tell you right now, I spent that. I know I've done my share. So, and then some. So, 197 shares. That you're telling me right now, retail doesn't own we can't, like I said, Jesus, $800. It's the cheapest in the world to buy float, to average down. It's literally the cheapest it's ever been. Yeah, you guys see what's going on with Dougie Fresh? I love how I said I was going to go 25 minutes ago. I don't care, though. Do you guys see what's going on with Virtue and Dougie? He's losing it, dude. He's fucking losing it. Dougie's losing it. And I love it. He's getting fucked every other day. Virtue finances. If you guys saw their earnings report, dropped huge. I mean, it fucking plummeted. Fuck Virtue. Fuck Virtue. And when they have to give back the iron workers all that money, again, fuck Virtue. I just love it. I just love that Dougie hasn't answered me in months. And then I sit there and I message him and he sees it and he won't reply anymore. Dougie Fresh wants nothing to do with me. The second all of a sudden I start talking to him about lawsuits and stealing iron worker shit and he's getting sued. And then I talk to him about all the good stuff going on with the SEC and the rule changes. Dougie Fresh doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to talk to me. He doesn't want anything to do with this. Sorry, Dougie. But when you're a criminal, eventually you get caught. Fucking Dougie Fresh, dude. We're all the people today. Adam Aaron texted. We're going to go to $3. Reverse split incoming. If you think there's a reverse split incoming, you're a clown. But alright, I'm going to go check on the wife, see if she's passed out. If not, make sure she takes her sleeping pills. And I'm probably going to go to sleep myself. But I'm hoping, I know I say this every time, I'm hoping to do a Peter Hahn one tomorrow. Me and him keep on missing dates, times. Like suddenly he'll be good and then I won't be. Or he'll be ready and then I won't be. But we're going to get it done. I know a lot of people want to see a Peter Hahn movie or video. We haven't had one in a while, so I'm hoping if he's on during market hour, I'm going to be home all day. Peter Hahn, if you're listening, I'm going to be on tomorrow, and I want you to be on my show. Thank you guys for listening, and have a good day.